Hi everyone, my name is Kevin Cameron and welcome to my channel, Silver Hill, which is all about the semi-retirement journey. And I'm here to give you some tips and some of my advice that I've gathered from others and from people like you and from life experience. And today I'd like to talk about decluttering and all that stuff. Right now we're having a very sunny day here at about 0 degrees, and I'm taking my walk up the hill, and hopefully I don't get snow blindness without my glasses on, but here we go. Anyway, one of the things that's been on my mind a lot, and it's easy for it to be on my mind, and that is all the stuff we have by the time we reach the age of somewhere between 55 and 65 and up, which is what this channel is basically aimed at. And I have no expectations of younger folks really wanting to listen to us older folks go on about life and all their lessons, because we were young once too, and I mean, we're still young at heart, but we were young. And did we listen? Well, sometimes, but not too often. Anyway, what happens is, I have found in life, is that the first part of your life is all about accumulating things. And it could be large things, the necessary things like appliances, a place to live, whatever you want to call it. But you also end up with unnecessary things that you keep that you think are worth a lot. They might have been hand-me-downs and all kinds of different things. But what I've found is this is the time to start scaling back. And like many of you, I speak from personal experience, because I've already lost a parent, and my other parent, my mom, went into a nursing home where she's still at. She has dementia now, and it's not too bad, but it's not great either, because she doesn't really remember. Sometimes she doesn't remember that if you had Christmas, she doesn't remember that it just happened, or what day it is, or whatever. And anyway, they were the type of people, they were, I would say, deeply religious people, and I'm not here to knock on that. It does help some people, and I was raised in a evangelical Christian home, but it did have some influence on my dad's way of thinking. He was very, very committed to his belief in God, and in his particular belief, he felt that God was going to return, Jesus, the second coming, and really felt that. And he was fortunate enough to live, my father was fortunate enough to live to be 87 years old. He passed away a few years ago. But he often said little things on the side, like, thinking about the future and getting older, and he'd say, well, maybe the Lord will come back. So I think really he tried to talk himself into a kind of belief that he really wouldn't experience death. But history shows us that the majority of human beings and any similar creatures that have lived on this earth millions of years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago, I should say, they all died. So, not to get morbid on you here, because every day can be something good from life, but I think we all know it's going to come to an end. But my dad kind of used that excuse that, well, he kind of slap his hands on his legs, maybe Jesus will come back before then. And in Dad's case, obviously, he did not in that physical sense, where he did not have to go through and experience death. Anyways, we won't continue on this sort of morbid talk, but it's just that we have to face the fact at our age that we do have stuff, we've accumulated things, and my dad, having thought that way, he never took it seriously. When he was in his 60s and early 70s, he should have really said, you know what, it's time to get rid of, he had a small engine repair business, He kept everything. He kept, well, we're still doing some of it at his old home where he lived. And it's taken us years, and I had health setbacks and that sort of thing. Things that I think parents often look at their kids and they say, oh, you know, little Johnny, little Susie, whatever, they're always going to be young. In their mind, they see them as 30, 35, whatever that age is that they think they remember them as. Strong, healthy, vital. But in reality, when you start hitting 55 and 60, there's a higher chance you're going to get some form of health crisis that, yeah, hopefully you can get through it, but it's going to set you back a little bit physically. Okay, I'm going to attempt to go up the second part of this hill, and it hasn't been plowed, so if I disappear out of the picture, you'll know what happened. Puffing and panting here to get around it. So Dad always had that belief, and I think that might have affected how he thought, that, you know, how seriously he took this idea of maybe it's time to cut back and kind of get ready for the next life, and because you can't take it with you. So I think we all face this thing where you've probably seen the meme where the older lady is next to her cabinet of curios, or you would say dishes and stuff like that, crystalware, things that were handed down to her generations, and they're like, oh look, you're gonna inherit all this someday. And you know, your kids don't want it. Life changes very fast now. Heavy crystalware, you know, your kids, younger people, they haven't got time for that. They haven't got room. It's too heavy to move from place to place. Life is not the same as it was. So back in those days. So this is kind of the idea. For example, Dad had a 58, 57 International Harvester backhoe. It took us a while to get rid of that because his friend that wanted it was 5 hours away. And then I had health issues in between that. And so you don't know what you're leaving your kids when you leave them all these things. So my wife and I, we're going to try to avoid that. And I have been going through our stuff and getting rid of it. But one of the things is that you sort of get hit by two ends. By the time you're in your 50s and 60s, if you've had children, what happens is they have stuff, they have papers, artwork, they have toys, things that perhaps they're at the stage in their life, 20s, 30s, youngers, whatever, they're not ready. They haven't got a permanent residence, even if they're going to find one, where they have room for the stuff that even they were given or kept, and things that are sentimental for them. So you end up having their stuff, and then your parents die or go in a home, and you end up having your parents' stuff as well. And you're kind of like the Oreo cookie, you're the little wafer in between, the little icing in between the two wafers. You're stuck there with all this stuff from your parents' past and stuff from your kids. So you know you got to get rid of it. So I've come up with a few ways of, first, a way of looking at getting rid of things. Some people say the best thing is to sort. I was watching a comedian say, well, you make 3 piles. You know, one pile is the giveaway, one pile is garbage, and one pile is keep, or something like that. And that's all well too. You know, you can do that. I find sorting takes time. So what I've been doing is basically, I've got a room, we've got an extra room where stuff that I had brought from my dad's house that, you know, I wanted to sort through it. I wanted to have time to go through these things to ensure I wasn't throwing out something of value. Because when you're in the haste to get a house or dwelling emptied, it might look very appealing to say, let's just grab the dumpster and throw it all out. But you kind of lose, sometimes you lose like 5 or 10% of something that might either be worth something monetarily or something sentimental that you want to keep. You know, a few things from your childhood. Now, some people say, well, you hire a professional to do that, have somebody come in, do all that sort of thing. Yeah, that's true too. If you have no attachments to anything, and maybe if it's something you just don't want to go through personally, you don't want to go back to the past and visit those things. I understand. But here's one way I have thought that helps you. First is your mental attitude toward the whole thing is one that's got to go. And then before you become a hoarder, like my dad was, I'm telling you, his property full of parts, tires, old tires down over the hill, microwave parts, chainsaw parts. I mean, it looked like something, a horror story from, say, a Red Green episode. There was everything, junk everywhere. So what you got to do is get yourself in the mindset that since you know you're not going to be around forever, you only want to have things that you can enjoy in the now, things that are going to make you smile, give you good memories, but not things you think are going to matter to your kids. I wouldn't suggest just taking all your kids' stuff and just tossing it without their permission. But you can, we live in this digital age, you can send them photos of things and say, I did that once. I had this whole box of toys. I just dumped them out on the floor and I said, is there anything in here you guys want? If not, it's going to Value Village or the local charity for other children. And speaking of which, to relate a story to you, to give an example how some things do have worth. My daughter, when she was really young, we gave her one of these little wooden horse, the things with the plush hair on it and that sort of thing that it didn't rock or anything, but she loved it as a little girl. And I don't know, I tried selling it once on Facebook Marketplace and there was so much confusion about it and who was going to come get it and what they were going to do with it. And I just said, I want this to have a better ending, a happier ending, because this particular thing meant a lot to her. It meant a lot to me. She gave me permission. She said, yeah, go ahead and let somebody else enjoy it. And she doesn't have the room for this sort of thing. She's at that stage in her life where she doesn't have the room for it. So I held off on that particular item until eventually a friend of mine said he had a granddaughter that would be interested in that. So the short part of a long story, I'm just going through a narrow tire track here, so see if I can, whoa, don't slip and fall, is that he took it before Christmas, this Christmas, and then he said he'd send me some pictures, and apparently, well, I got the photo, and he said she loved it. She said, I'm going to love him forever, this little horse. And that's great. That's the story ending I wanted to this particular item. Some things are just garbage. Some things are toys. Some things are things you can take and trade. But I'm the type of person that I kind of want to go through it and, in a sense, use the method of attrition. And that's what I have been doing, actually. I've been selling things on Facebook Marketplace or taking them to Value Village, just one at a time. And it's probably hard to even see a difference, but the room that I kept all the stuff is getting really, really empty. I don't know if you guys can see this, but something up here has been digging into the ground. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's a hole going right down. Something living down there. Maybe it's a squirrel. I don't know if they would. There's lots of them up here. So yeah, I made it to the top of the hill. Another way of looking at things is, and it helps me to toss items, is as I'm going through things, I look at it and I say, if I had a house fire, it's the house fire mentality, sort of. It's like, imagine and maybe some of you have had experience at house fire, But what would you do? How would you feel? You had a house fire, you lost it all. Would it really matter? Would that particular item really cause you great concern, either for its monetary value or its sentimental value? So if it's like no, you just toss it. And another way this works as well, I'm going to try and make my way back down the hill. Another way this works is that if you can get yourself in that mindset, hey, I had a house fire, it's all gone, you start to realize I can live. I can go on without that particular item or that whole room full of stuff. It will free up your mind mentally, it'll help you emotionally, it'll help you move on. As another YouTuber said that I listened to recently, it's about our attitude going forward. If we just concentrate on what we're losing, we'll say, of what we've lived, the friends we thought we had, and as children, all those memories, they're just going to hold us back and keep us from enjoying in the now, which will affect our future as well. So yeah, it might be better to just sort of say to yourself, what would happen if I had a house fire and I just lost all this stuff? How would I feel? And also just pretend you had a house fire. It makes it easier to throw that out. I've also thought too, excuse me for mumbling up my words there. I also thought or think when I'm going through things, I am going to be dead and gone someday. Someday this stuff won't be here. And, it's not going to matter to the next people. In other words, if you imagine yourself 100 years from now, this item 100 years from now, 200, 500, if the world still goes on, no one's going to care about it. They're not. I'm not meaning to depress you or anything, but, imagine that thing that you've been holding on to so long. If it's not bringing you any kind of joy right now in the present, some warm thoughts or just, it doesn't make you happy anymore, toss it out. Because someday, it's not going to matter in the great scheme of things. Unless it's some, priceless record or album, vinyl or something, some kind of, or a piece of artwork that is going to be worth a lot of money down the road. No one is going to miss it. Yeah, least of all your kids. One thing both Beth and I promised ourselves and our kids was that we weren't going to leave all this stuff, this mess, for our children to go through when we die. We're going to try, and when we are trying to get rid of things. I mean, my parents were musicians. My brother took, I didn't want them. He took the guitars and that sort of thing. And I still have a couple speakers and things I have to get rid of. But I had things like a, music stands and that sort of thing, which I sold. I did sell. I got a few bucks for those. And this all depends on the time you have, too. If you're the type of person, being semi-retired, I do have some time to devote to this, to put stuff on Marketplace. And basically, I found one of the things of being on Marketplace or whatever online is I generally get the people to come to me, because this driving, you don't drive a mile to get rid of something and then the people don't show. Yeah, people can be that way. So I just get them to come to me or to a very, very close location. If it's not my home, you don't feel comfortable having strangers come right to your home. It's a beautiful day here. It's extremely sunny. I'm probably getting snow blinded. We have some snow down, at least 3 to 4 inches of it, depending on where it's drifting. And the apple orchard here is all embedded in snow. There's just some ATV tracks and truck tracks, and it looks like a skidoo or something was up here. That's what I'm relying on for my walk. I may have to start recording more inside, because it does get, you get out and you get the runny nose and all that stuff, and because of the temperatures, and I don't want to put you guys through that anyway. Okay, so yeah, so have that attitude that, someday this isn't going to mean anything to anybody, and it'll help it'll clear your mind out, it'll free you up, it'll free your mind up for things in the future that you want to put in there, Because I don't know about you, but I can even find Christmas music to be almost depressing. I mean, some people love it, but I'm kind of I like fast-paced, fast-tempo, rock, alternative, something, even old country, but something that will pick me up a bit and not depress me. So you want to look at your items that way too. If there's something that are hearkening back to old, really, really old memories that you have, that are just making you, basically want to cry inside. It probably, once in a while, it's good to have a cry. Yeah, even for a guy, but realistically, you don't want to live there, because you're just going to bring on depression, and you're not going to see any hope for going on. When we know. I mean, I went through 2 heavy surgeries last year, which I've mentioned in more detail, and it wasn't fun. But I did find this Christmas, I did have a good Christmas. My daughter and one of my sons were home, and it was great. I mean, I was able to get up and do things where I wasn't this time last year. I was waiting for one of my surgeries this time last year, and I couldn't even go for a walk like this. So, but you hold on for better days, and they do come. I mean, they do come. Some days are better, but this is life, Some days are bad, and you just hope, and you want to magnify those good days. So if hanging on to old stuff is depressing you, if you know it is, do your own. Be mindful of how things are affecting you. Be mindful of how the beliefs you have in your head. Listen to yourself thinking, and be mindful of what is making you happy and what isn't. I never thought I used to say this, because when I was younger, I was more like, bring on the pain, it'll make me more of a man. Bring on the sadness, and I'll live through it. I deserve it, maybe even somewhere down deep. But you don't. I found as you get older, you start to realize this is a one-way trip. You can't take stuff with you. You might as well just make the best of it. Yeah, I'm not giving you any professional advice here what to do with your life, of course, or counsel. But in my mind, it is worth going on if you're able to see another day and live with some more hope. The days for that, at least that one day that in your mind you've experienced something good. So I hope this helps you on your semi-retirement journey to know that it is time to start putting away a lot of stuff, getting rid of it. Don't let your children have it. You'll feel better for it. They'll feel better for it. Trust me, it hasn't been fun. After Dad died, the weight of dealing with all his issues, even some legal issues, even 3 or 4 years later, there's still things that are taking so long. And since we had mail strikes and we had different things happen, health issues, it's just like it hangs on and on. If you love your kids, do you really want your kids or some other strangers to have to deal with all this stuff? Well, my answer to that is no. I want to give them the best life. I want them to live every moment to the very best that they can have or enjoy. I don't want them dealing with my shit. No, not really. A few things, yeah. There's some things I like. I like collectibles. I like to hang on to a few things. I don't even take them out of their package. They bring me joy when I see them. Things like that I can hang on. They can be resold quite easily, especially if they're in good condition. No, I'm not talking about a whole room full of crystal or something like that. I'm talking about light, not heavy, non-heavy items. a few things, you know. You want to keep a few things just to enjoy. That's about it, I think, that I have to say. It's beautiful up here. I'm trying to keep the sun out of your eyes. I'm not sure if you can see or not, but that is a mountain way over there. See that mountain? Yeah, I'm not sure if I could get the phone around there so you can see. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm hoping you guys have a great day. And I think there was more I wanted to say in this, but my memory is fading away about those items anyway. So you guys have a great day. And from Silver Hill, Kevin Cameron, we'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys, and you have a great one.